The airplane rolled off the Boeing Wichita, Kansas assembly line on November 18th of 1944. And 2 days later, on November 20th, the airplane arrived at Moton Field. And so this is the first base it served at for a year, for basically the duration of World War II. And this is where the guys that were going off to war were learning how to fly, and for a lot of them it was the very first airplane they ever got into. And I think there's a lot of love for the Stearman for the guys. You know, it's their first airplane and the first airplane that they soloed in. Not only that, but even as they got into more advanced aircraft, there's something about the pure joy of flying in an open cockpit biplane. Not to mention, even though it's a slow airplane, it's extremely maneuverable. And a lot of them will talk about doing aerobatics and how the Mustang or the P-47 was fun, but the Stearman was the most fun because you could just really crank on it and do super tight loops and rolls, and a lot of fun. So I think it was, it meant a lot to the guys back here because of what the Stearman represents to Tuskegee and their first airplane. We've covered a lot of miles in that airplane. This engine was actually built in the late 30s, and the airframe was built in the 40s. And by and large, I try not to use any extra technology. Sometimes by default, we're threading through some difficult airspace and I'll turn the GPS on. We brought the airplane in last Friday as a flying aircraft with a couple of modern modifications on it. When we bought the airplane, it had the bigger engine on it. When we started taking the airplane to air shows, mainly in the West, we were crossing over the Sierras and the Rockies quite a bit. So the extra 75 horsepower came in really handy. But we knew when it came into the Smithsonian that we wanted to have that correct engine on it. The wheels and brakes, we actually made a conscious effort to modify those. The Stearman Bendix brakes are very notorious for grabbing when you don't want them to, and then not actuating when you do want them. So a lot of Stearmans have been ground looped and put over on their back because of the brakes. So kind of clean up the airplane, and it's a lot closer to stock than it was just a couple days ago. I'd like to at least have it to the point where when I see it hanging from the ceiling 50 or 60 years from now, I can know that we could remove it from the ceiling and put gas and oil in it, and with minimal work have it flying again. So it's kind of a personal thing that I want to see the airplane still as a living and breathing entity. I'm excited when the museum opens in 2015. I'm going to be there to watch it open, and I'm going to walk through, and I know it's going to be awesome. What you looking for?